Joining us now is Mr. Richard Shimuka, Senior Fellow at MLI and the author of No Other Option, Politics, Policy and Industrial Consideration in the Canadian Surface Combatant Program. Sir, welcome to Forum Daily.
Thanks for having me.
So can you give us a brief overview of this report and its main findings, sir?
Absolutely. So I basically take an oral history, talking to a lot of the people who are involved throughout the entire program for its basically 20 plus year gestation. And I come up with a number of kind of considerations that I think are critical for understanding where the program are today. Three in particular, I think are they're basically the foundational assessments, foundational parts of the program that people have to understand to really get a sense of where we are today. And those are that Canada wanted to build these ships within Canada. It needed to basically restart an entire naval construction industry dedicated to building government-produced, not just warships, but also Coast Guard vessels and supply ships. The second one was that Canada wanted a capability that was basically able to operate successfully with its allies, such as primarily the United States, but also with the United Kingdom and other countries. And the third was that Canada basically stopped building warships for a better part of almost 20 years, starting at the end of the 1990s up until about 2015, 2016, when the Arctic Offshore Patrol Vessel program basically started at that time. So those are the three critical ones. And when you understand those three parts, you kind of start getting a sense of all the, not just the issues, but why the program has unfolded the way it has over the past, 10, 15 years.
And we know the CSC program is getting some criticism as another failed procurement process, but it's interesting that your report is saying that these missteps are reasonable. So tell us a little bit more about this.
I think it's really one of the things that it's always you're trying to think of the program and you're saying, well, we see a cost increase or we see that these are delays, but basically building any large procurement, but specifically naval procurements, these take many, many years to kind of put together, to assemble the warships, assemble the systems, design, and sort of produce the infrastructure in order to produce them. And because we had stopped producing warships for almost 20 years, that had to be completely reassembled. Throughout the late 1990s and 2000s, the project management capability within Department of National Defense had largely atrophied. It had been cut down almost by half, and the ability for DN to actually manage this large program just wasn't there. So in order to rebuild, in order to sort of create the knowledge and the capacity to build these vessels was going to take a lot of time. And obviously the cost and the capability sort of dynamics that occurred within the department leads to increased costs. But the other side of it is that if we were to just an option that a lot of people suggest, which is just buy them from foreign yards, means that you basically are going to just be putting money out the door, and there's going to be very little industrial benefits back to Canada. And that's going to be a real difficult sell for any Canadian government to go to the people and say, well, we're going to spend $30 billion and there's going to be absolutely no return value to Canada. So that's kind of the dynamic that the Canadian government, especially in the late 2000s and early 2010s, kind of grappled with. Is that yes, it's going to cost more, and we're not exactly sure how much it's going to cost, but that the value here is worth it, and we need to kind of push forward with this kind of program.
All right, sir, just about 30 seconds left here, but would you be able to speak on the strategic importance of procuring these new Navy ships for the Canadian Navy?
Absolutely. I think that if you look in the international sphere today, you look at tensions between Russia and the Ukraine, where the Black Sea plays an important part. You see it definitely within China and its neighbors, such as Japan and Taiwan and India. Basically, the control of the naval seaways is really critical, and Canada needs to have a credible ability to play its part in these areas in order to ensure our peace and prosperity at home.